I'm Alex.
And I'm Yuta, and today we're going to be talking about your fears.
We asked you on our website, TokyoCheapo, what your top fears were when traveling around Japan. So let's unpack them. Drum roll, please. Your top fear was natural disasters in Japan, which is actually a very valid fear to have for some of us.
Japan is very prone to a lot of natural disasters, whether it be tsunamis, earthquakes, or typhoons. But I think the number one concern on this list was earthquakes. We get earthquakes quite a lot in Japan. It's pretty much like a daily thing. Haven't had a big one in a while. Let's knock on wood. But it is quite a concern. How do you feel about earthquakes?
I don't like them. I'm from England and we don't have earthquakes in England. So it's a bit disconcerting, even though I've been here for 8 years. Every time I think it's the big one, which people talk about a lot. How do you feel about earthquakes, Yuta?
I mean, like, aside from like the big one that a lot of people were talking about, I was definitely a little bit scared about that. But I get a lot of people asking me, like, is it a good time to come to Japan? It's a little scary with all the earthquakes happening, but it shouldn't stop you from coming to Japan. And I've been here for a very long time and I'm pretty much used to it at this point. If you're in Tokyo, at least, I don't think an earthquake will do any damage to you. The only time I get really startled is when your phone rings when you're in public. I think that's the number one thing that scares me whenever an earthquake happens.
If you're worried about earthquakes, please take a look at our website on our article and it will explain what to do in an earthquake or any natural disaster.
I think the next point that a lot of people like to bring up is like accidents and sudden illness. Have you had anything like that happen to you while in Japan?
Well, thankfully not yet. Oh, no, I don't want it to happen. But if something does happen, then you should call the emergency number, which is
110.
Some people might be a little bit worried about the expense of getting an ambulance or going to the hospital. So you might want to get some insurance, just like the sponsor of our next segment. Even though Japan has a reputation as one of the safest countries in the world, you never know when something could go wrong with your travel plans. Whether it's lost luggage, a sudden illness, a delayed flight, or a motor accident, it's essential to have a safety net.
With Safety Wing Travel Medical Insurance, you are covered from just a few dollars a day. You can start your coverage from any time, even if you're already on the road. And if you find yourself wanting to stay longer, no problem. You can extend your coverage for up to a year.
Healthcare in Japan can be costly, and having Safety Wing prepares you for any medical emergencies without breaking the bank. Signing up takes just 5 minutes.
Click on the link in the description and get started with Safety Wing today and travel with a peace of mind.
Next up is getting scammed. Don't get scammed. So can you get scammed in Japan?
Yeah, there's a lot of news about people getting scammed in Japan, especially if you go out to places like TokyoCheapo, maybe some parts of Shibuya. Sometimes you get approached by a suspicious person and they'll take you to their bar where they'll overcharge you for things. And that's where the scam bars, usually in those areas, you'll see a lot more. They often go after tourists that are in the country that don't really know any better. One of the bigger scams here. Is there another scam that you know of?
Well, people talk a lot about like gaijin tax, but I think that hardly ever happens in restaurants. You just need to check your bill after, and I'm sure it will be fine.
Yeah, I think it just really just depends. Like, I think most restaurants will be fine. Maybe bars, like in a shady area, you might have to be more careful of. But if it's like a big restaurant chain, I've never really saw that come across.
Yeah, I don't. It's definitely not in big ones.
I also want to bring up the point that, do you think like cover charges are considered scams? Depending on where you go, it's like 1,000, 1,500. It gets quite ridiculous in some restaurants. What do you feel about that?
I think if the cover charge is reasonable, it makes sense because in Japan you don't have a tip, right? It's like the cover charge is the tip for most places. And then you usually get like a, otoshi, little thing with it.
A little treat, yeah.
You don't get nothing for the cover charge, usually.
Yeah, you get to sit down and relax and get a little snack out of it as well. I mean, it's not like you're getting nothing. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what are our rules? Don't follow anyone down dark alleys.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Don't get upset if there's a table charge because obviously it's fair. If it looks too good to be true, definitely try to avoid it, especially in parts of like Shinjuku.
Be careful who you give your money to.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yes, spend it on gachas.
I agree.
Another one in the survey, which was a little bit on the lower end of the votes, was wild animals. Quite interesting. I don't know what animal they were thinking in particular, but there are some dangerous animals that do exist maybe out in the countryside.
Yeah, not in Tokyo. Well, there have been some monkey sightings recently, handless monkey sightings. But apart from that, have you ever seen a bear in Japan?
Never seen a bear. Never ever.
Okay, well, I haven't seen a bear, but I have seen some deer, wild deer in Nikko. And there are a lot of bear sightings in certain months. So there's a website that puts when the bears were last seen and things like that. And you're probably okay if you're not going up into the mountains and you probably won't face a bear. What should you do if you face a bear, Yuta?
I think you just have to like look big or something, right?
Or accept your fate.
You accept your fate, yeah. Dogeza, you're like, sorry.
So there's black bears in like Nikko and those areas, but the brown bears in Hokkaido are they're more aggressive. The black bears you can probably run and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I think the brown bears, it's like if you run, you're dead.
Maybe people should buy one of those bear bells that you strap on your belt. And it makes noise so the bears will, not come after you. Another thing that gets thrown on the internet a lot is the killer hornets.
They're
I
scary.
don't think you'll see too many in Tokyo, but maybe like out in the mountains.
I saw one once in Furano in Hokkaido. It was terrifying. I ran away and it didn't attack me, but it was massive. It's massive. They're really big. They're really big.
They're like this big sometimes.
Oh my gosh, it was terrifying.
Well, I don't want to get too close and find out, but
You've got spiders.
they're terrifying. What do you feel about boars?
How do I feel? They're not Pumbas, are they? They're a little bit scarier than a Pumba.
Yeah.
In Kyoto, in Fushimi Inari, you might see some signs that say like, beware of boars. They will attack you if you get too close. They've got a hard head. They have tusks, I think. They have tusks.
Some of them do.
I'm not an animal biologist.
Your point of reference is Pumbaa. That's it.
Yes.
Boar.
I was like,
Not even a boar?
it's a warhawk.
It's a warhawk, right? It's a warhawk. Yeah.
That's your point of reference. It sounds like.
Somebody's watching too many Disney movies.
I just love The Lion King.
Yeah.
If you see a boar in Kyoto, then, don't try and feed it. Don't get close to it. Don't try and hug it. Maybe just back away slowly. It will headbutt you.
The only animals you need to be worried about are cats.
Wait, what?
Because you want to take one home.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
That's it. Next up, getting lost in Japan. Have you ever had an experience where you got lost, Yuta?
All the time in Shinjuku Station.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, it's like, it happens all the time for me, even as someone that's been here for a while. But we have the tools to get out and it does end up being fine, but if you're confined on time when you're traveling in Japan, it could be a little bit scary.
You're saying Shinjuku Station is scary,
Yeah.
Yuta?
Yes, Shinjuku Station is scary.
I disagree. I love Shinjuku Station. Controversial opinion.
Controversial, yeah.
I know my way around that like the back of my hand.
Have you seen the map of it before? It's like...
Yeah, I think like Shibuya Station's scarier to me. Anyway, we're not talking about stations.
Oh.
Getting lost in a station is one thing, but maybe getting lost in the wilderness, if you're hiking, getting lost, or even in like an inaka in the town. Sometimes you're walking from a tourist attraction to the next tourist attraction, and you're like, where do I go? What do I do? Where am I? I have no data. I can't read the signs. It can be scary.
I think most people that do travel here, they get scared to get on the wrong train and not make it in time for the transfer or even like the Shinkansen, right?
But don't worry about missing a Shinkansen because there's so many. Even if you've reserved a seat, you can always get the next one in the unreserved section.
Yeah, I feel like even if you do mess up a little, that's just what happens when you're traveling. It just makes it more of a memory, I guess. It just happens, and Japan is pretty forgiving with that kind of stuff anyways. So even if you do miss a Shinkansen, you can always ride the next one and get to where you need to go to. Don't let it paralyze you from having fun in Japan.
So a good point to mention is that if the Google Maps says it's 20 minutes from point A to point B, maybe add on 10 minutes or so onto that, because it could all be uphill, it might be longer, you might get lost in Shinjuku Station. So just be extra careful with that.
So I feel like when you're lost and you don't know what to do, you kind of freak out a little bit because you don't know the language. And I think language barrier is definitely one of the biggest concerns in Japan.
Not only speaking, but reading, like, is very different from, say, English. And you may get lost and you may not be able to read the signs. That is one of a worry. Or like not be able to communicate. I feel like Japanese people have a lot of patience and they're very forgiving with mistakes.
I also feel like it's so much easier with like lately in Tokyo. I feel like this was a huge concern maybe like 10, 20 years ago, but with the technology that we have and with Japanese people kind of understanding that there's a lot more tourists now, they will usually do their best to help. The language barrier is an issue, but not that bad as of late, in my opinion at least.
I think actually they're more scared of speaking English than probably you are at speaking Japanese.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, most Japanese people are afraid of speaking English more than you are.
So, what should you do in a situation like this? Remember to speak slower and use simple English. Don't say water closet, say toilet.
Yeah, I feel like most Japanese people learn standard English, so maybe if you're from like Australia or something and you know they use different terminology for certain things, a lot of Japanese people might not get that. So, you know, talk slow, be understanding, don't get upset. Patience is very important in these situations.
On both sides, right?
Yes. So a lot of people actually get surprised when they hear this, but the trains in Japan actually aren't 24 hours. So they do have a last train. Depending on which line you're riding, the time varies, but it usually ends around like midnight, maybe even like 1:30. So Alex, if you do miss the last train, how would you spend your time?
Oh, there's many a thing you can do if you miss your last train. It depends what kind of person you are, I guess. You can karaoke all night. Some of us have done that, not naming names. Or you can sleep in a manga kissa cafe, or you can just walk around and see what's on the streets in Shibuya Meltdown. Some Shibuya Meltdowns, you know, you'll see a lot. We recommend that your hotel is within a 15-minute taxi ride of Shibuya. So if worst comes to worst, you just get a taxi ride home, or you can walk in about an hour.
I think it's good to mention that most trains do go up and running around like 5:30. It's just a few hours if you do miss the train. And I think you just get a more genuine experience of Japan when you're out all night, or at least in Tokyo. I wouldn't say the same for, you know, some countryside areas, but Tokyo, like if you're out really late, you're just gonna have a different experience, and I think it'll make a good story.
So next up, let's talk about cash. Does Japan still use cash a lot? Yes, especially in the inaka areas. So one fear some of us have is, picture this. We've just had a lovely meal. It's a small little village restaurant. The Oba-chan, she's come up to deal with the bill. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, we only take cash. You reach into your wallet, what do you find? No cash. Where's the ATM?
Nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen. What do you do, Yuta?
Freak out.
You freak out, you freak out. It's a fear, it's a fear.
Do some dishes in the back and make enough money.
Yeah, so you're now working there.
Yeah, forever. That's a fear. Imagine being stuck in a restaurant.
So honestly, just remember to bring some cash with you if you go into the countryside especially.
Yeah, it's a little annoying, especially with the world kind of abandoning cash for the most part, but that's just how things go in Japan, unfortunately. Maybe in the future, it'll get to the point where everything is just, you know, from an app or a credit card, but we're not there yet, unfortunately. Always keep cash with you. No matter what, it's useful. So we went through most of the general concerns about traveling in Japan, but I would like to know your fears because you do live in Japan.
Me?
Do you have anything that you would like to bring up?
Yes, I do actually. And my biggest fear in the whole world is, it revolves around Shinjuku Station again. It's the platforms, no barrier platforms. You might see on social media, there's a lot of barriers, and there are a lot of barriers in the metro, etc. But Shinjuku Station has some platforms that you could just fall off them. And that's like kind of scary. What's down there? Who's gonna get me back up? It's terrifying.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because sometimes when it's rush hour, especially, you're just so close to the edge. My fear, since I do like to cycle a lot, is getting hit by a taxi, because some of these roads are way too small and there's not enough space for cyclists on the side, because we don't have our own road most of the time. So for some reason, taxis just love to get really close to cyclists here, and it's one of these days.
Well, I'm gonna jump on that and say my fear is getting hit by a cyclist that's been pushed off the road from a taxi and is now on the path and is hurtling towards me. It's scary out there. It's scary out there, guys. So stay safe.
Wait, whose fault is it though? Is it the cyclist's fault, or is it the taxi's fault? Is it the
Well, it's society's fault.
society's fault? Okay, let's just
Where are the rules?
Yes.
You know, they have put in new rules recently, haven't they?
They did put in new rules for cyclists. If you are wearing headphones while riding around, you can get in trouble for that. And also, if you're drinking alcohol, yeah, just don't do that. And I think one of the big things that they're cracking down on is people that use their phones while on the bicycle as well.
So I hope we quelled some of your fears and concerns about traveling around Japan. Big or small, let us know your fears and concerns in the comments below, and maybe we'll unpack them another time.
And if you want to see more videos of us sitting down and talking about these things, let us know in the comment section down below.
See you next time.
Goodbye. If you don't hit the like button, I'll be your next fear when traveling in Japan. I'll find you.
Scary.